I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there, Price of Reason here with a series review. If you're a subscriber of this channel, you'll know that last week I was one of the earliest to post a review about HBO Max's disaster of a show, Velma. Since then though, I have contemplated if to even post any more reviews about the Scooby-Doo Prequel series, as it is probably one of the worst shows of all time. Ultimately, after reading many of your comments both here and on Twitter, I've concluded that reviewing more episodes wouldn't be a bad thing, at least for now. In a way, you might even say that I would actually be providing viewers of this channel a service. If I watched this awful show, you wouldn't have to, but you would still be aware of the messaging and propaganda that it continues to peddle, and I do think that does have some value. So without further ado, let's begin. If episodes 1 and 2 of Velma, however bad, at least sort of pretended to deal with the mystery murders of two girls from school, episodes 3 and 4 pretty much abandoned the whole mystery idea altogether. It's just full-on 100% propaganda at this point. Now there's a lot happening within episodes 3 and 4, and I will try my best to sum up all of the main highlights for you, however dumb, and then give you my thoughts on them. In episode 3, Velma is confused about her potential, preferences after making out with Daphne, and now they're distant from each other. The school principal hires Daphne's police officer mother's partner lovers to teach the girls self-defense so that they could combat toxic masculinity. Then they conduct a tournament where little girls beat each other up. Amidst the tension between them, Velma and Daphne end up the finalists, and Daphne then kicks Velma's ass. Fake Shaggy visits Fred in jail multiple times in order to try and impress Velma, or something like that. Fred then breaks out of prison during a riot, but is then apprehended by Daphne's police officer, mother, partner, lovers. Velma and Daphne agree that while they have feelings for each other, they will just remain friends. Velma goes home, looks at photos of Daphne, draws lipstick on her hand, and then makes out with it, imagining she's making out with Daphne. And all of this crap was just in episode 3. In episode 4, which was at least as bad, if not even worse, another dead girl is found at the school, so Fred is immediately exonerated because that means he's innocent. Two middle-aged Caucasian policemen tell the school that the killer is only targeting hot girls, but since the police only have limited resources, they will only offer protection to the 5 hottest girls at the school. After Velma accuses them of being pervy middle-aged Caucasian men, the policemen tell her that she should prepare the list of the 5 hottest girls because she herself isn't hot at all. All the girls in the school then try to show Velma how hot they are in order to make the top 5 list, but she's annoyed because she dislikes how men objectify women. Velma and Daphne talk about their feelings. Again, Daphne won't help Velma prepare the hot girl list because she still wants to find her adoptive parents. Velma then asks Fred, who apparently she's still attracted to tell her who the 5 hottest girls are in school, and since he's a jerk, he provides her with a list. Velma tricks Fred into reading a book about feminism, and now he suddenly likes women for their personality. Velma gives the police a list of 5 hot girls and tells them the girls are slaves to the patriarchy. The policemen ask Velma to make the girls look ugly like her so that the killer will be turned off and not want to kill them. Velma agrees because now she can free them from the shackles of the male gaze. And I'm not even paraphrasing here. She actually says this stuff word for word. Velma gives the girl a seminar in how to look ugly so the boys won't like them. And then they go to school looking ugly, but at the end of the day, the hot girls revolt and decide to look hot again. Velma's father's waitress mistress goes into labor, and Velma and the 5 hot girls end up developing mutual respect for each other as they try to clear the street for the ambulance by doing a sexy dance and beating people up. Fred tells Velma that he's attracted to her now after reading the feminism book, but she doesn't think he's attractive anymore, so he leaves. Fake Shaggy and Daphne team up to go look for a crystal mine that may have had something to do with her birth parents. Fred confesses to Daphne that he likes Velma, and she tells him that there's somebody else out there for him. He then bumps into Gigi, one of the hot girls who was so inspired by Velma that she doesn't want to be hot anymore, and now she likes Fake Shaggy. I feel like I lost a lot of brain cells just trying to describe what I saw, and I suppose that perhaps you have as well, but hopefully you're still with me. Now those of you that are familiar with my channel know that in my reviews, I usually talk about things that I did like and then things that I didn't like. In this case though, no matter how hard I try, there isn't even one good thing for me to say about episodes 3 and 4, so I will just focus on what I didn't like. Number 1. The writing. While even the awful, poorly written episodes 1 and 2 of Velma had little to do with the original Scooby-Doo series and characters, they at least pretended to show us some type of murder mystery that needs to be solved in the background. Episodes 3 and 4 seem to abandon this mystery pretense altogether. Nobody is doing any real investigating here. In fact, the murders just kind of seem like an afterthought. But even if I overlooked all of that and just tried to evaluate the level of writing within the episodes, it's absolutely terrible. Some of the worst writing I've ever seen for any show, and the best I can describe it as is random bitterness. It doesn't function as any type of storytelling. There's no real character development, or at least none that makes much sense. Just a bunch of nonsensical events stitched together into a loose frame where main writer, star and producer Mindy Kaling airs her grievances while promoting trendy agendas. Which brings me to my next point. Number 2. Messaging. The bluntness in which agendas are presented in these episodes is so straightforward and extreme that it doesn't much feel like a show at all. If you told me that there was some type of extremist feminist organization out there, and this was their straight-up propaganda material, I would absolutely believe it. Every single development on screen seems like a radical feminist, anti-patriarchy, anti-male, anti-Caucasian fever dream. Every man on here is presented in a poor light. Whether in jail or after jail, Fred is just a rich, entitled Caucasianist and phobe, and he needs to be tricked into supporting feminism. The policemen are pervy Caucasian male figures of authority, so much so that it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up being the actual killers at some point. Fake Shaggy is just a whiny, spineless simp. Even the so-called hot girls that Mindy Kaling, Velma, is so apprehensive towards, are framed as victims of the patriarchy. Ones that she wants to help break free of its shackles because they still want to look nice and be appealing to men. I guess this supports the ongoing feminist ideas that even women who are actually attractive should be ashamed by it and hide it. The best a woman could do right now, according to this dumb show, is to downplay her looks and smash the patriarchy while respecting women who aren't as attractive as them. And it's all right there in the open, not as underlying themes, not as hidden messages. The actual propaganda is now the actual dialogue, and you better like it, or according to the mainstream media, you're just a review bomber, and an ist and a phobe. Number 3. IP hijacking. How does this show that was billed as a Scooby-Doo prequel series remotely resemble anything Scooby-Doo related? If right now you just replace the names of the characters and their design, nobody would ever guess that this show had anything to do with this IP. As I was watching episodes 3 and 4, I once again couldn't stop wondering why any network or IP owners would ever agree to greenlight this show. I know it may peddle an agenda that they like, or maybe they want it to be perceived as progressive, but Scooby-Doo is always a nice bit of wholesome entertainment for kids and perhaps some nostalgic adults. A type of show that was enjoyed by multiple generations. Once you let a so-called prequel series like Velma out into the open, there's usually no turning back. You've not only ruined the IP for people who once liked it, you've also ruined it for newcomers who maybe weren't as familiar with it. And while some may argue that you can just choose to ignore it and only watch and enjoy the past versions of it, I wholeheartedly disagree. Just look at all the damage done to the other IPs in recent years. From Star Wars with a sequel trilogy, to Star Trek The Next Generation with Picard, to He-Man with Kevin Smith. People can't unsee the characters that they used to like being deconstructed and humiliated, and in most cases, they just end up losing interest in the IP altogether. At some point, after more heavy losses, I think Hollywood will ultimately realize this, but by then, it will probably be too late. Number 4. Mindy Kaling. It may surprise you all to hear this, but I don't have any issue with Mindy Kaling making a show about her personal problems, grievances, and bitterness. If this is her idea of art, then so be it, as it is a free country. The issue I do have is, if this is what Kaling wanted, why didn't she just create her own brand new show instead? If she's so confident in her skills, why not create a show called Young Mindy, just like The Rock did, and tell her own story? An original show like that could be the perfect showcase to explain how miserable and mean-spirited she is without hiding behind somebody else's work, and then viewers could decide if they want to watch it or not. It's interesting how all these self-entitled Hollywood activists who want to change the future are so creatively bankrupt that they always have to just rely on ruining something that somebody did in the past. What did you think of Velma episodes 3 and 4? Did you love them? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. But